Welcome to the Grace Period, where we get real about attorney mental health and well-being and pull back the veil on the high-stakes world of big law. I'm your host, Emily Logan Stedman, a commercial litigator, partner, and someone who believes there's always room for a little more grace, even in this high-stakes profession. Here, I share real stories from my own journey in big law and invite you behind the scenes, past the billable hour, to talk about what it means to stay human in a demanding field. Whether you're a lawyer, a legal professional, or someone trying to find your footing, this space is for you. Let's pull back the curtain, start the conversation, and find our grace period together. Disclaimer: the views and opinions shared on this podcast are mine alone and do not necessarily reflect those of my firm or any organization. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not legal advice, and listening does not create an attorney-client relationship. Welcome to episode 44 of the Grace Period. Today, I'm going to talk about another topic that's essential but often challenging: effective delegation. If you're anything like I was as a new associate or even as a new partner, you might believe the best way to succeed is just to do everything yourself. It feels safer, faster, maybe even expected. But over time, I learned that holding on too tightly can actually hold you back, and it can hold your team back. As a senior associate, and when I was approaching partner, I found myself wrestling with the urge to keep my hands on every detail, to do the work myself. My first year's partner, my billable hours were low, and I worried that if I delegated too much, I wouldn't be seen as pulling my weight. But I also realized that if I didn't learn how to delegate and delegate well, I'd never actually become a leader. I'd just be an even more senior associate. I needed to help train those coming up behind me, and I needed to build those relationships so that I have trustworthy colleagues to turn to when my next big case comes in. So I started off small. As a senior associate, I asked summer associates for help. And then I started looking to full-time associates for help, handing off research projects, sharing drafting responsibilities, and inviting associates to take the first crack at motions and discovery responses and discovery requests and letting go of document review. Yes, sometimes my billable hours dipped, but more importantly, I started to build trust with my team and to give others the opportunities I'd once wanted. Overall, this created space for me to focus on strategy, business development, and more. Here's what I've learned about delegation. It's not about offloading the work you don't want to do. It's about building teams where everyone can stretch, grow, and shine. Effective delegation is an act of trust and communication. It means letting people show you what they're capable of and supporting them as they learn and grow, and even when they make mistakes. When you delegate well, you don't just lighten your own load. You create space for others to step up, surprise you, and develop into leaders and good attorneys themselves. Now, practically, you must set clear expectations up front. You must give context, not just assign tasks. Yes, this takes time. It's an investment up front, but it saves time. It saves time during the task and on the back end. Also, you must learn to check in without micromanaging. Set expectations for when and how associates can and should communicate with you. Nudge without bossing people around. And when someone delivers, recognize their effort. Give feedback with an eye toward growth. If you're new to managing or if letting go feels uncomfortable, you're not alone. It takes practice and it takes patience. But in the end, delegation is how you build resilient teams and how you create space for your own growth too. For newer attorneys and associates listening to this episode, start with your legal assistant and paralegals. Make it a conversation. Ask them what they can help you with. Ask them what they want to help you with, and then look for opportunities to delegate to them early and often so that you grow this skill from the jump. The same applies to working with summer associates. That's great training ground for learning how to delegate. And if you want to have a written document that outlines your expectations from the jump, you can go back to season 4 and take a look at my practice management memo. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Grace Period. I hope today's stories and reflections brought you a little clarity and a new way to think about delegation. Remember, You don't have to choose between your well-being and your ambition. By setting boundaries, building supportive habits, and giving yourself permission to pause, you can thrive in law, in big law, and in life. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. That is the path to our grace period. Disclaimer. The views expressed here are solely my own and do not represent the official policy or position of my firm or any organization. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, not professional or legal advice, and it does not create an attorney-client relationship.